Bottom line, this president, through the fourth branch of government, is out of control. He is abusing the system. Washington, D.C. needs an overhaul, and badly. And an Article 5 convention of the states is just one method to help fix that out-of-control federal government. Joining me now from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Convention of the States Regional Director, David Schneider. David, as Regional Director, you have 11 states under your tutelage, from Wisconsin to Minnesota down to Texas. Are any of these states, of these 11, close to passing any kind of legislation to participate in an Article 5 Convention of the States?
Indeed. Actually, I'm in Oklahoma City right now at the Capitol building. We're going to have a historic vote here in Oklahoma today with the House of Representatives. And also Missouri is going to have the same kind of vote happening in Jefferson City also later today.
How about Texas?
Texas took the year off. They only meet every 2 years, but we're looking real positive in the state of Texas. We've got a lot of volunteers there and very active, and Governor Abbott's support certainly has helped tremendously on that effort. And when they come back in January, we're looking for quick passage.
Any other states near a tipping point among those 11?
We've got several states that are hung up in one or two of the legislative bodies. Kansas got real close this year. We were 7 votes away, but with a 2/3 majority needed to pass there. And then the Senate has not moved. The Senate president is kind of dragging her feet a little bit. When they come back here in 2 weeks, we're going to press her to make a move in the Senate. And Nebraska is adjourning without taking further action at this point. We passed in one house in South Dakota, but we stalled in the Senate. So again, we've got to come back next year even stronger. It's
a process, that's for sure. And it's a learning process to boot. Now, circle back to Oklahoma. You say you're pretty close to passing a piece of legislation, but it's not been without a fight. And among some of the opposition, from what I understand, are so-called conservatives. Can you explain that one to me?
Well, absolutely. These conservatives are spreading fears and recently have adopted some of the liberal talking points of, worrying about the government taking away federal funds from the states. And, that's really not a concern necessarily of conservatives in historical sense. And it seems like they've exhausted all the other fear that they've tried to spend around the convention process. And now they're adopting some of the liberal talking points.
Okay, so first of all, that would tell me they're not truly conservative. They don't get it. They certainly don't understand the federal system or adhere to it, apparently. But are they assuming then that a balanced budget amendment might pass and that Washington, D.C. would stop overspending and therefore the spigot would be cut off for Oklahoma? Is that how they're looking at it?
I would think that's how they should look at it, but they're more worried about their cash cow going away, and they're trying to spend it to the farmers, and there's farm subsidies and everything else. Again, taking the liberal stance on that and embracing big government spending.
So what's it going to take to get across the finish line in Oklahoma now?
We're real close right now. We're anticipating a passage today. We've been in the Oklahoma legislature for a couple of years working this process, and we've had Tom Coburn, retired Senator Tom Coburn, working diligently here in the state of Oklahoma on our behalf. And some of these legislators just flat out aren't listening. And, they don't understand the process, and they're not understanding that this was the action plan that the founding fathers gave them directly to use in times like this.
So if Oklahoma goes, that would be state number 7. Would join a list of 6 right now. Indiana and Tennessee just passed resolutions this year. Is it possible that we're seeing a little bit of momentum building now in this effort?
I would say yes. So we pass Oklahoma. Hopefully also we get through Missouri this week. And then we can go back to the Senate president and issue in the state of Kansas and really press the issue there. And some other states that we're really close in as well. So definitely some momentum growing.
And so is this possibly Oklahoma, Indiana, Tennessee, the ones who have passed recently? Can you use these states as a model for the other states to get the ball across the goal line?
You bet. We're a fairly new process here. We've only been at this for about 2 years, but we've learned a lot in dealing with these legislations. We learn in every state, and we certainly use some of the same things that we've learned in the state of Oklahoma to use in other neighboring states and other states across the country.
And you learn that it's not only a constitutional process, but it's also an educational process, a learning process?
Oh, definitely. And the founding fathers intended this to be a tough process, and we're learning out just how tough it is. Again, disproving the fact that a runaway type amendments would never get through the state legislatures. This is a tough process getting through all the states.
What are the favorite amendments, the possible amendments that people talk about as far as you are hearing? Besides the balanced budget amendment, is it term limits? One of my favorites.
Yeah, term limits is definitely high up there, especially term limits on Supreme Court. That seems to resonate very high with the volunteers. Tax reform is certainly, repealing the income tax would certainly be high up there as well. People are all about the fair tax and would love for a convention of states to kind of take that on.
I love it. Repeal the 16th Amendment. I'd throw in there the 17th Amendment as well. If people want to get involved, conventionofthestates.com?
That's correct, conventionofthestates.com.
It's time for the states to take some action that is actually afforded to us in the Constitution.
But we're stepping back into the role that the founders originally intended for us to be in, which is that this is a nation that is the United States.
I'm an American, and that's why I'm here today, because I believe in the Convention of States. I believe that Article 5 is the remedy that the framers gave to us.